Welcome back to Something to Talk About, the show where we tackle the conversations most people are afraid to have. And I'm your host, Keon. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Listen here. This topic right here, this is one that is guaranteed to spark emotion, debate, and hopefully some honest thought. So over the last several years, we've watched a growing movement pushing to redefine America's values. They're trying to rewrite history and restructure systems that have existed for over 250 years. Now, whether you agree or disagree, one question keeps coming up. Is America truly broken? Or are we losing perspective on the opportunities this country still provides? And today, I did not want a political analyst. I wanted real conversation with somebody who's lived life, served this country, stands rooted in faith, and isn't afraid to think independently. Something to talk about. Put your hands together and join me tonight because we got my brother Damien on the show.
Hey, brother, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm making it do what it do. Now, listen here, man. We're not going to dance around it because we got an early morning here. Let's jump straight into this conversation because people are tired of scripted answers and political talking points. So I just want to ask you, as a black man who served this country, do you believe America is fundamentally broken, or do you think that we have been conditioned to focus more on the flaws than the opportunities that still exist?
Well, Keon, not at all. I don't believe that America is fundamentally broken. You mentioned that I did serve this great nation. I was a veteran of the Iraqi War, Operation Iraqi Freedom. And just that fact alone tells you that the country isn't fundamentally broken because I had the opportunity to serve.
Right.
I think that there is a stigma within the black community about serving in the armed forces, in particular, the northern states. What I found interesting is that most of your African-American service members come from the South. The reason being is because there aren't as many opportunities down South as there are up North. You know, you have more industrialization up North, you have government jobs up North, more hospitals, just a bigger, bigger population. And so black folk have historically used that opportunity in the South to join the armed forces and serve. And I got to tell you, Keon, signing up for the Army was probably the biggest decision, the best decision that I've made in my life because everything that I had stems from my time in the service. You know, my properties that I own comes from my time in the service. The job that I work on comes from my time in the service. My medical insurance, my benefits, all of the creature comforts that I enjoy that God's blessed me with in my life comes from that short time of serving in the service. And, you know, I used to hear folk around me growing up, and even to some extent now, saying, don't join the white man's army. Well, it's not the white man's army, it's the American army. And we're all Americans, you know? And so it is an opportunity to make something of yourself as a young black man. It's an opportunity for you to produce some inheritance for your children. It's an opportunity for you to see the world. It's an opportunity for you to look at other people of other races and call them brother. Because when, God forbid, there is a war, you're gonna be in the foxhole with somebody that doesn't look like you.
And you all you got.
And you all you got. And so I've learned that from my time in the military, and some of my closest and dearest friends happen to not look like me. And in terms of do we focus more on the flaws than the opportunities? Yes, we do focus on the flaws more than the opportunities, and that is detrimental to the black community. It's detrimental to any person who wants to pull themselves up, because it's good to know your personal flaws or the flaws in the community. And that was one of the things I noticed when I joined the Army. I said, listen, I want something more for myself. So my way out wasn't college. I was kind of, over with school at the time.
Right.
Grew up in a Catholic school. I flunked out in the 9th grade and then wound up spending my last 3 years in public school. And I just didn't want it anymore. I just didn't feel it, but I knew that I wanted better for myself. So
that's deep.
I made a plan, and my mom always taught me that a man who doesn't have a plan is not much of a man at all. And so when you focus on formulating a plan for yourself, it's focusing on what opportunities do I have? What gifts do I have? What skills do I have? What interests do I have? And how can I leverage those gifts and opportunities for a better life for myself?
So let me ask you this. Do you think social media and mainstream politics benefits from keeping people angry, emotional, and divided? And I'm going to be honest with you. One of my issues with this whole thing is that there is ample evidence that shows that platforms and politicians profit by keeping people outraged, because I want to call it algorithm amplification. Algorithms amplify anger and just group hate. The more shares and the more angry reactions, it fuels revenue, clicks, donations, turnout. But it also deepens this mindset that you're talking about. It deepens the political polarization, spreads disinformation, and it ends up eroding public trust. So where is your standpoint as far as social media and mainstream politics when it comes to the concept of, is America broken?
Well, to me, Keon, media has always been a corrosive entity in American history, not just contemporary media. I mean, it's far worse now, but it's always been a corrosive entity throughout American history. You can go back to the Revolutionary War. There were individuals who really were not for freedom, separation of state in terms of the rule of England. There were a lot of people who essentially were told through media, through the news papers, that hey, everything is good, And so as we go through American history, the Civil War, media had a big part to play in. Well, should we fight this war? Everything. Everything is good the way it is now. Do we want to send our boys to war for, the emancipation of slaves, for the 14th Amendment, and all of these things? Now, it's so much information, so many streams of information that you don't even know the truth. And what I would say is that you have to rely on your core values.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's the issue. I think that's the issue today, is that we don't have a value system, especially in the Black community. Our values, culture are just rotten to the core at this point. And so when you listen to the legacy media and all of the fear mongering, all of the lies, it's not even news anymore.
Right.
It's
out lies.
It's just propaganda. And we consume so much of this stuff while in the same reality being able to have the freedom to go get your nails done, to go to Chick-fil-A and get whatever food you want, with just like any other person in America, to apply for jobs and to attend colleges just like anybody else. You have the right to vote just like anybody else. Yet we have people, and in particular the leaders of the community, people who are who are well established, who have became successful, who are millionaires, religious leaders, the black bourgeoisie, who are using the media to fearmonger the crowd at large into believing that their rights are being infringed upon. But the fact is that during this midterm election, you're going to have a chance to vote whoever you want to vote for. When the last presidential election, you had every chance to vote. You didn't have to wait in the back of the line. All of these things are myths, and they play into this notion, this misnomer that America is broken when it's simply just not the truth.
Can I mash a hot button topic real quick?
Yes, sir.
One of the things that always sparks controversy is the idea that if you are black, you're automatically expected to vote Democrat or think a certain way politically. Now, I'm a libertarian black dude. Anybody out here will tell you, I have never had that type of thinking. So let me ask you this. Why do you think independent thinking is frowned upon specifically in our black community when it comes to politics?
Well, for me, I won't label myself from a political standpoint, but I will say that I am a child of God, and the fight against independent thinking to me is the antithesis of what Christianity teaches us.
Yes, sir.
The scripture teaches us that who the Son sets free
is free indeed.
Is free indeed. And so you have the freedom to think, you have the freedom to cultivate thoughts, you have the freedom to weigh options, you have the freedom to express yourself. You should have that freedom without anybody infringing on it. And so this misnomer that the Democrat Party has always been for African Americans is just simply not true. This notion that the parties flipped somewhere in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement is just simply not true. Yes, there were civil rights leaders such as Dr. King and people of his nature who aligned themselves with the Democrat Party. But what people don't know is that when the Civil Rights Movement was brought up on the floor to be voted for, it was the Democrats who
voted against it.
Actually voted against it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It took Republicans, first of all, to write the Civil Rights Bill, and Republicans to overwhelmingly vote for the Civil Rights Bill. And a statement that cannot be truer today than the statement that was once coined by the late Lyndon Baines Johnson, the president who succeeded John F. Kennedy. He said, "We'll get these niggas to vote for the next 200 years." And that was a prophetic statement because
it happened.
It happened, and it's happening. You know, when you have 90% of a demographic voting for the same party, no matter what shifts in the culture, no matter if the policies hurt them or not, that is just not normal. It's abnormal. No other demographic in this nation, no other demographic, Asians, Hispanics, white folk, they don't vote in the same amount of numbers for one political party. They happen to look at what the policy is, what the laws are, and how do they affect our community.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage Black people to look at the policies, to look at the nature of their community over the past 50 to 60 years and ask themselves, are these policies good for my community? And the answer should be resoundingly no. I also think the problem is that when you dealing with this issue with the Democrat Party, a lot of the bourgeoisie members of the community, they want to hold on to the power. And so you give them a little power and they never let it go.
Yeah,
So,
you're dipping your finger into something that I wanted to go into next. You right there on it. Because some people argue that modern politics empowers Black Americans, while others believe that it creates dependency on government and systems instead of encouraging ownership, discipline, faith, entrepreneurial, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. It's early in the morning, and accountability. So from your perspective, where do you think that line gets crossed?
well, for me, I don't know if it's a law or a part of the Constitution, but we used to always say that the church and the state is separate. But your worldview as a believer, as a Christian, should dictate how you vote, because laws matter. Laws are what make reality. Laws, God's laws,
Absolutely,
in particular,
absolutely,
are what create reality. Like his scientific laws, they allow you to breathe. They allow you to stay on solid ground. Without gravity, you wouldn't be able to stay on solid ground.
Yeah.
Without his scientific laws, we wouldn't be able to reprocreate and make families and communities and civilizations. And
Right.
so these laws are the ancient foundations of creation. And so when you're dealing with civil law, your morality, your values should make a huge part into how you see politics, how you choose to vote, what do you want to support. And I just believe that the very fabric of our culture as Black people has been eroded. We call ourselves, even still today, a conservative people, yet our lifestyle and our habits and our culture,
society influence all of that.
They are objectively liberal, and being liberal, in my opinion, is essentially living a life that has no guardrails. God created laws to guard us and to protect us. And so once you step beyond those guardrails and those protections in the pursuit of being a liberal, that's when the erosion of community happens. That's when fathers are not in the home. That's when children are, running rampant in the streets and stealing cars and, becoming
Baltimore City. Baltimore City.
And so you can't really bring those two together if you don't have a foundation. They used to say if you stand for something, then you won't fall for anything. And so
you got that right.
We just falling for anything because we've lost our way.
Yeah.
As a community.
Yeah, and listen, man, we got to do a part 2 because the information that you dropped is so deep. We're going to finish this up on a part 2 because I need what you said here to absorb. And I appreciate you coming on and speaking honestly. And let's just face the facts, man. Whether people agree with us or disagree, these are conversations that need to happen because way too many people today are scared to ask the hard questions. And today wasn't about telling people what to think. It was about challenging people to think. And I think you can agree. Too many conversations get shut down the moment somebody has a different perspective. But growth, and this is about church, man, too. Growth doesn't happen in the echo chamber. Growth happens when people are willing to listen, question, refer back to that word of God that we talk about, and think for themselves. So listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I promise you, we are going to finish this up in a part 2. So, man, from my heart, thank you so much for coming to hang out with me today. We definitely going to get together for that part 2.
Hey, brother, anytime. Listen, there's a lot more to discuss. There's a lot of history that's involved. I think that a lot of our people don't know history. We don't value history the way we're supposed to. And because we don't value the history, we see it's a repeating of a lot of negative things that happen in history.
Yeah.
But we have a beautiful history in America.
We do.
As a people and as a whole, So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll talk to each other soon about that.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
and
listen.
Thank you for inviting me on, man.
No problem. And check this out, folks. This might turn into a series. So if it does, make sure that you are spreading this, because what he is saying is not many people get me speechless. Today, I'm speechless. And brother, again, I want to thank you for that, because, wisdom is always where it's at. Now, I want to hear from the folks out there. If this conversation challenged you, if it inspired you, or if it even made you uncomfortable, that's good. It means that we're talking about something real. And I want to hear from you. Do you believe America is moving forward, or are we rewriting the very foundation that created opportunity in the first place? Drop your thoughts in the comments, respectfully, that is, and let's have some real conversation. You never know when my brother Damien and I are going to talk about what you put in those comments. And or I should say, if you want more fearless discussion like this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this episode with somebody who isn't afraid to think independently. This has been Something to Talk About. I'm Keon, and we are going to see you next time.